Hey everybody, welcome back to Legrade Outdoors. I'm Peter Legrade, your host, and today we're going to tie one of the classic nymphs, the pheasant tail. We're going to do a bead-head version, and let's just dive right in. Alright, so to get started with your pheasant tail nymph, you're going to want to get your hook with your bead on it in your vise. This hook is an Orvis 122J. I don't think they make those anymore. So Daiichi 1260 bead-head nymph hook, pretty much the same thing. And we're going to get started with our thread. I am using Ultra Thread 70 denier in burnt orange. You use whatever you've got, whatever you want. Just make sure it's not too big, not too heavy. And we're going to wrap this back. Give us a nice underbody here. Right down to the barb of the hook there. First material we're going to tie in is, believe it or not, pheasant tail. So we're going to pull 5 or 6 fibers off this pheasant tail. And we're going to turn those into the tail of the fly. And proportion-wise, I like to do about a half hook shank length with these. So we're going to take our fibers, lay them about half a hook shank long along the top there. Take that measurement with our other hand and just move it back to where your thread is and tie it in with 2 good wraps right now. Next, we're going to take our wire. This is ultra wire, size small, and amber. You can use whatever you want. And we're going to put that in on the near side of the hook shank. And give that a good wrap or 2 there. And then we're just going to cover everything in thread wraps as we move forward to just behind the bead. This is going to give us a smooth underbody and add a little bulk, just a little bit. Once you get there, trim those off, and we're going to go back to our pheasant tail. Same deal, we're going to pull 5 or 6 fibers right off that sucker. Except this time, let's go. You see all these really thin bits up here? We're just going to snip those square. We don't need those. We're going to tie this. So that was the tip end of the pheasant tail fiber. We cut those square. We're going to tie those in, and again, smooth underbody back. Doesn't have to be perfect, but we don't want any lumps or bumps. Okay, once we get to where we tied in our tail, we can kind of just move our thread back up to where we have about 1/3 of the hook shank left. And now we're going to take these fibers here and do some nice touching wraps forward to create the body of our fly. And pull those vertical there. Give them a couple good wraps to lock them in, and we're going to just kind of lash these down to the top of the hook shank to right behind the bead. Okay, move our thread back here. And now we're going to take our wire, it's just hanging off the back here, and we're going to counter wrap this over the pheasant tail. So if you were wrapping the pheasant tail away from you, you're going to wrap this under and back towards you. And we're just going to give it a few wide spiraling wraps. This is going to add a little weight, add a little shine, and a little segmentation to the look of the fly. And once we get to about here, give that, I like to give that 2 or 3 nice tight wraps, and then we bend it back and really lash it down. And that's going to ensure that that doesn't pull out, and also we don't have to dull our scissors because you can just wiggle that sucker off right there. No cutting needed. All right. Next up, I like to add a little flash to the back of my, or to the shell back on my flies here. So I'm going to take a couple strands of Flashabou, move this forward a bit, take a couple strands of Flashabou, double them over my thread, like so. And we're just going to guide that down there. And we're also going to grab this bunch of ends here. And when we do that, we're going to just lash those back. Maybe. There we go. To about there. All right. So far, so good. Now we're going to take about 3 peacock herls. You use less for a smaller fly, more for a bigger fly, obviously. We're going to line those up. I like to square up the tips there. And we're going to lash these down so that when we're to where we want it to be, there, oops, that guy just broke. That's going to become relevant in just a second. So let's try that again. Square them up, lash them down, and pull them straight down and lash them kind of to the underside of the hook there. And you say, Peter, why do we do that? Why are we doing that? That seems silly. Why would it matter that it's on the underside of the hook? It's because, as you just saw, peacock herl is delicate. So what we're going to do, we're going to pull these herls down, line them up next to our tying thread, and we're going to take a wire grabber. We're going to pinch our thread and all the peacock together, tighten that up a little bit, then we're going to spin. Spin them round and round and round. And what this is going to do is not only is it going to make all the herl fibers stick out. I'll zoom back in here so you can see. Yep, here we go. Not only is that going to make all the herl fibers stick out, it's going to add some reinforcement to those things and make it a little more durable. So look at that. This is going to be the most even, lovely, shiny peacock herl that you're going to see. Some people will do this with wire. I think that takes too long. I'm impatient. It's probably even more durable. If you want it to be super durable, before you start spinning this on, you'd put some super glue down on the thread body, and I mean, that'd be a bulletproof fly, but there we go. See, we get all these fibers sticking out evenly every direction, with the added benefit of it being a little stronger because of that thread. All right. When you're ready, you remove your wire grabber, unspin the remaining peacock herl, and lock it in. Oops. These are really long. These are really nice peacock herl. All right. Make sure we're good there. Okay. Once that's locked in, snip the tag end. Give that a couple more just for peace of mind. And now we're almost there. We're going to grab the pheasant tail fibers that are left sticking off the back. We're going to make sure they're going right over the top of the fly. pull those forward and lock them in. And that's going to be the shell back there. Okay. Same thing with our flashback. Pull that forward, lock it in, and trim it all up. Boop. And this extra Flashabou gets a little wild sometimes, and you can lose it because it's dang near invisible if the light's not on it. So I have another one of these wire grabbers. Boop. Holds that perfectly. Handy little tip. You can get like 20 of them for $5 or something. All right. Make sure everything looks nice and tight there. And last step is to either do your half hitches, or I like to use a whip finisher. Give it a couple good wraps. I like to do it twice because it kind of builds up a nice little hot spot right behind the bead there, especially with this burnt orange. If you wanted to use a neon pink or green thread as well, that would really pop right there. But yeah, that's how you tie a pheasant tail nymph. These things catch everything that eats bugs, and pretty much everything eats bugs. Bass, walleye, trout, crappie, bluegill, they're great. I know this version isn't the traditional pattern. Traditional pattern kind of has some pheasant tail legs sticking off here. I think that just adds time. I've never seen any benefit to it. It looks cool. I'm sure some fish will be able to pick it apart, but this is also on a little bit longer shank hook. But I've found that with that extra body length there, it kind of looks more like a chironomid, which might explain why it works so well out in the Laramie Plains lakes and why it works so well here in Nebraska. But yeah, let me know in the comments if you have any questions, critiques, whatever. I'm all ears. And thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.